What's up, everybody? Spot here. We're back. We're going to discuss a little bit about the game last night versus the Wizards, but mainly we're going to focus on the future and what this explosion means from Jalen Green and the emergence of Amin Thompson even more so far. So, yeah, let's just get right down into it. It was a beatdown. First half was close. I think we're up 60-57 at the half. Not a good look because not only is this Wizards team when full health, still one of the worst teams in the league. They're riddled with injuries across the board. So, not great there, but dominant second half, took control right away, coming out in the third quarter pretty much, and pulled away. So, yeah, let's just get into it here. Amin Thompson, 25 points and 10 rebounds. He's been great. As a starter, he's been great, averaging, I think today, 14.5 points-ish and 10.5 rebounds, which is crazy. And, since Şengün's went down, he's really emerged. He's really played well. And he's not showing a lot of skill set as a point guard, but he showed he can be, an elite athletic defensive wing at worst, So how that transforms over the future, whether he ends up becoming more of a point guard or this is his position, that could mean a lot for the future of the Rockets. But I think the point guard skills are still there. He's just going to need some work, Let's talk about Jock Landale. He had 10 points and 7 blocks. 7 blocks. What? He was insane. He was everywhere. He was playing well. Shout out Jock Landale, man. He went from being a not good NBA player to being perfect fit for the role. If he had been playing like this all year, this would have been great. But hey, better late than never. I know he came in the year with an injury, but hey, he looks good. Maybe somebody will want him in the offseason. I don't really know, but it's looking good, man. So give him his flowers for now. Another, obviously, Jabari played well. Del Brooks played horrible, got benched, yada, yada, yada. Game review. No, we're going to talk about Jalen Green, 42 and 10, 19 in the first quarter. Dude's been on fire. And obviously, he's gone through some stretches where he's been on fire in the past, but he looks good. He's actually rebounding the ball. He's playing some defense. He's facilitating when he needs to. He's shooting look-away threes. His confidence is at an all-time high. And, will we see a dip in play? Most likely. But if he can keep doing these things, rebounding and playing some defense and still shooting okay. He doesn't have to score 40. Now, right now he does. We don't really have a whole lot of offense. But with Şengün, if he can play like this off of Şengün, this team, we've said it all year long, that this team is at its best when Jalen Green is at its best. And this is the best version of Jalen Green I think we've ever seen. Because even in these past hot stretches, I don't feel like it's contributed to winning basketball. Obviously, it's easy to say that when they're losing versus when they're winning. But this is legit winning basketball, rebounding, defense, facilitating, not just being a one-man show. Of course, he goes ISO and whatever, but he's shooting the ball well, and he's doing all the other things that are important. I don't know if this level is sustainable, but if he can just be this mold of a player next to Şengün and stuff, this team could be great next year. They could be great next year. So, with that being said, now what do we look to during the future? Like, I've discussed on this pod that you hope Jalen Green plays well and you get some trade value up, and when you trade him maybe this offseason, or the deadline, you trade him. what you're looking at the next move. Even if that's bringing Cam Whitmore along and getting him to be that starting shooting guard and trading Jalen for whatever. We've discussed multiple scenarios. We're basically moving on from Jalen Green, possibly moving on from like Van Fleet and Brooks and stuff. But with this version of Jalen Green, what's up, Kitty? Dude, I don't know. It makes it hard to be like, yeah, we should trade him. Like, there's two ways to look at it. Do you sell high? Like, he's back, and his trade value is gonna. If he can finish out the season like this is legit winning basketball. I think his trade value goes up pretty good. I think you get a good return for him, Or do you hold on and let it grow? I think you let it grow. I really do. Perhaps if you can get an extension done in the offseason where it's not the max extension, he played bad for most of the year, you can try to use that as some leverage. I think if you can get a decent deal from him, I think you give him the extension. But I don't think you get forced into it. I don't think you should overpay for him. I think he should stay, man, because like I said, this team is best when Jalen Green is at his best. I know people will say, like, oh, Green and Şengün can't play together, but that's not true. Like, they've played well together. What Jalen Green is doing now, he was getting the same run with the second units early in the season, and he still wasn't making the most of it. So right now is not the same Jalen Green that we saw with Şengün. And he was playing well with Şengün lately. And then Şengün finally started playing his best basketball right before he got hurt as well. I think they're both growing up. They're both growing together. They have a really good two-man game. They're going to be fine together. They're going to be fine. Talent trumps fit every time. And I think they both have the talent. And I think Şengün definitely has the smarts. And I think Jalen Green's coming along in that area. I think you keep him. Now, then that begs the question, like, you got Van Fleet, Green, Brooks, Bari, and Şengün, right? That leaves your second unit next year looking something like Amen, Cam, Tari, and Steven Adams. Do you trade Dillon Brooks and bring in a veteran point guard to back up Van Fleet? Somebody that can just kind of run the offense, not a game changer, but just kind of gets it going. Let Amen run a little bit of point guard, but kind of let him flourish in that three kind of wing spot for now. Definitely as a competing team next year. Obviously, you give him some point guard run, and if he flourishes in that, great. But do you let him take that starting wing, that three spot there? Or even Tari take it, and maybe Amen kind of back up a little bit, both point guard in that three spot? I don't know. I don't know what you do. I think Dillon Brooks, as of late, has been predominantly bad. He's had some good games. He's played some good defense in some games. For the most part, his offense has been pretty lackluster recently. Really, since he's returned from injury. He was great early in the year, and I love him. I do. I hated him before he got here. Watching him play and watching the way he acts with his teammates stuff, love him to death. I just think he's expendable here with Tari and Amen doing very similar things. Now, he's a better shooter than Amen, but I think him and Tari are very comparable. He's probably maybe got a few more things offensively than Tari. I do think Tari has a little bit better rim pressure, but defensively, they're both, I think Dillon's probably slightly better defensively, and maybe he stacks up better against some bigger guys. Theoretically, defensively, he's pretty built. As in Tari is kind of skinny, but Tari is longer. I think Tari fits that mold perfectly. I think Dylan is expendable if a contending team comes calling for him, for the right price. And I think that both Amen and Tari can kind of fit that mold and then help that position as well. So, yeah, I think the future. A lot of people are saying like, "Oh, this answers a lot of questions about the future." I think it raises a bunch, but I do think that you can't really go wrong. I think if you sell high on Jalen Green and get a good return, I don't think you can complain about that. I think he might go on to be great. He might not. We really have no idea at this point. I think if you keep him, I think whatever happens, happens. I think you can't fault whatever decisions are made. I think you'll look back on it in hindsight and be like, wow, we should have done this if it goes bad. Either way. Like, wow, duh, why did we trade him? Why did we keep him? That's the nature of the beast. But I think either way, I think you can't fault Stone for whatever he chooses. And then obviously with Van Fleet and Brooks and some, whatever we do in the offseason, draft pick we have, I think all options are on the table. I think the options are there, and you can do them all, and none of them look bad. I do think with Amen being kind of an unproven commodity at the true point guard spot, I think the Van Fleet move would be bad just because how great he's been as a floor general and as a leader for this team. But I also don't, like, if for whatever reason they're able to move on from him, there's another team, they're like, we don't mind the money. We need a veteran leader to help us, give us the right price for him. Or, honestly, with that contract, like, just moving off of him and having a lot of space and free. I don't know, man. I really don't. I'm not a basketball GM. There's a lot of angles to look at it right now. Personally, if I can get the right price for Dylan Brooks, I think that's the move I make this offseason. But I'm not forcing it. I'm not like, I got to get rid of Dylan Brooks. That 9-man rotation of what I just said is pretty good. And if Dylan is comfortable, okay with, look, he's going to get benched, he's playing backs, he's got 2 other guys that can do that. Or, Nime is comfortable doing it, which I think it's clear that he is. I don't mind keeping him. That's a solid 9-man rotation there, and plus you got the rookie coming in that we'll have with Brooklyn's pick. I think there's a lot there. Rockets fans should be excited, and no matter which way this goes, I'm not saying it's going to work out because obviously many things could go wrong, but I think there's a positive outlook for each path. We just got to hope that comes to fruition. So, yeah, that's all I got today. I think the Rockets' future is exciting no matter which way you're wanting it to go, whether that's with Jalen Green, without Jalen Green, with the veterans, without the veterans. I personally think Jalen Green should stay. And this is somebody that was very critical of Jalen Green early on. I was, admittedly. And I think you can be critical and be like, dude, he was bad. He's good now, That's part of looking at it, Being a fan of a player is like, oh, you can't criticize, like, oh, look at him now. You guys are all saying he sucked back then. Yeah, because he did. All right? He did. Şengün sucked basically since January 1st, but definitely as we're approaching the All-Star break, right? And then he started playing his best basketball of the year. Jalen Green was bad until the All-Star break, and look at him now. And he had some stretches in there, but none of them were super winning basketball. There were always positives. I think pointing out the rebounding was always kind of coming up, definitely after January 1. I think he's really taken on a better rebounding role. And the defense, he's been competitive, whether it was great defense or not, just competing on that end, and that's important. So I think if he's bought in, Ime's bought in on him, I think the relationship between him and his teammates and Şengün and stuff, I think they'll figure it out. I think those guys are, you dream of drafting guys that you can build around and not have to free agent, whatever. I think there's a chance with that group. Still have Amen, still have Cam that could really grow into another third potential-ish star. I think Cam has shown amazing promise, especially as a scorer. Then Tare's ridiculous rebounding and versatility, and then Bari's been good. Bari's been good recently, and you got to hope for a third-year leap. That's all I got today. I think it's exciting. So no matter what side of the fence you're on, so let's go Rockets and let's make this play in, man. 2.5 games out. I didn't even talk about that. 2.5 games behind the Warriors. I don't know, man. I'm starting to believe every episode. I'm like, oh, there's more of a chance, but I still don't believe. It's real. It's real. It's real possible. All right. I'm out. Peace.